Are you virgin? Those words shattered my whole world. My name is Emily Carter. I grew up in a small, simple home with my mother. My father passed away when I was 16, leaving us with more struggles than dreams. My mother worked endlessly stitching clothes, tutoring kids just to keep us alive. We didn't have wealth, but we had peace. One day, my life was decided for me. He was Ethan Miller, a man from a decent but ordinary family. He loved someone else before me. Her name was Samantha. Rumors surrounded her bold, scandalous, to bad behavior. His mother wanted someone pure, respectful, someone from a quiet family. That's when she found me. Your daughter has innocence in her eyes, she told my mother. She'll bring peace to my son's life. My mother cried from happiness, believing this was my destiny. But Ethan's silence during the proposal said everything. He didn't want this marriage. Still, his mother insisted, and I became his bride. Our wedding was simple and nice. I remember standing in the hall, wearing my white gown, trembling with nerves. When I entered his house, the hall was full of guests, relatives, neighbors, and friends. I thought he would welcome me with petals or a smile, but he didn't. He just stood there, cold and distant. Then, in front of everyone, he suddenly turned toward me and said coldly, "Tell me, are you a virgin?" The hall went silent. Every smile disappeared. I froze, my hands trembling around the bouquet. In that moment, my world shattered. Before I could even react, his mother walked up and slapped him hard. "Shut up, Ethan. Don't you dare insult her again." Tears filled my eyes, not because of humiliation, but because my dreams shattered right there. On wedding night, it was almost 2 a.m. when I heard the door creak open. Ethan walked in, his face unreadable. I wiped my tears quickly and turned away. He came closer, his voice low and bitter. "I didn't want this marriage. You should know that. You're only here because my mother forced me." Tears slipped down my cheeks silently. I whispered, "I didn't force you, Ethan. I just wanted a family. That's all." He came closer, anger spilling over like a storm he couldn't control. His words cut deep, cold, and hard. In that moment, I felt small, like an object he blamed for his own pain. Tears blurred my sight, but I didn't move or shout. I just sat there, shattered, wishing the night would end. Then, as suddenly as it began, everything stopped. He froze, eyes falling to the white sheet where he noticed the proof of my innocence, the blood stain. That said more than words ever could. His anger vanished, his face went pale, and he stepped back, whispering, "Oh God, what have I done?" When he finally looked up, his eyes were full of regret, real, shaking regret. He left the room quietly, leaving behind a storm of guilt and sorrow. I sat on the bed, numb, watching the white sheets stained red. It wasn't proof of my purity. It was proof of his brokenness. For days, Ethan avoided me completely. He stayed in another room. We barely saw each other. But Mrs. Blake, she treated me like her own daughter. Every morning, she would bring me breakfast, smile softly, and say, "Don't lose hope, sweetheart. My son made a terrible mistake, but he'll realize your worth soon." Her kindness healed parts of me that Ethan's anger had broken. One night, I fell sick. Fever took over me, and Mrs. Blake called the doctor. When I woke up, I saw someone sitting near my bed. It was Ethan. He didn't notice I was awake. He just sat there, looking at me, guilt written all over his face. Then, softly, he said, "I'm sorry, Lena. You didn't deserve that." I closed my eyes, pretending to be asleep. But those words, they were the first sign of change. One evening, I fainted while doing chores. Ethan rushed to help me. "Are you okay?" he asked softly, handing me water and medicine. It was the first time his voice sounded gentle. A few days later, he left money on the table. "Buy something for yourself," he muttered awkwardly. He began coming home early. Sometimes he'd fix broken things. Sometimes just sit silently with his mother and me. He didn't apologize again, but his actions began to speak for him. In the evenings, he would quietly place a bowl of fresh fruits on my table and make coffee for both of us. Sometimes, he'd bring breakfast early in the morning, a little burnt, but full of effort and care. He started sitting in my room while I read, sometimes pretending to read too. When he found out I loved books, he bought me a few new ones and even a small set of paints. It was in those simple moments that I began to see his heart changing, not with big words, but gentle actions. One rainy night, he knocked on my door. "Can I come in?" He stood there, unsure, nervous, a man trying to right his wrongs. "Emily," he said quietly, "I was cruel that night. I can't forgive myself for what I did." I looked at him, tears filling my eyes. "You've already started to change," I whispered. He took a slow breath. "You didn't deserve pain. You deserve love." For the first time, he reached out gently. Just a touch, soft and careful. And for the first time, I didn't pull away. I felt safe. Weeks turned into months. We began to laugh, to talk, to share moments that didn't feel forced. He started bringing me flowers, leaving small notes like "thank you for staying." And one morning, as the sun rose through the window, he wrapped his arms around me and whispered, "You were never a mistake. You were my destiny." Today, our baby boy sleeps peacefully in his crib. Ethan is in the kitchen, trying to make pancakes, singing off-key. Life isn't perfect, but it's ours. Built from pain, forgiveness, and love. It wasn't a deal. It wasn't forced fate. It was destiny written not in wealth, but in understanding. Because sometimes, love doesn't arrive the day you marry. It comes when hearts finally heal.